It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Stanley Cup will be in the house tonight in Denver as the Colorado Avalanche look to close it out against the Tampa Bay Lightning with a 3-1 series lead, a 7 p.m. puck drop. College World Series championship final begins tomorrow. Game 1 between Ole Miss and Oklahoma, a 6 p.m. first pitch. You can find it on ESPN. Nashville Soccer Club hits the road again tomorrow, taking on DC United, a 4 p.m. kickoff for the boys in gold. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once in your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Let's do this. Blaine and Mickey on a beautiful Friday. We are hanging out. Our man Bird is actually making the wheels of steel work today. Lucas is sitting in here with a giant thermos and a bag of Lord knows what. And we're just going to hang out for the next couple hours and talk sports with you. Kind of been a crazy day in the world. Not going to be crazy here. Just going to have some fun, talk sports. I'm going to start with this because I heard Lucas Panzica telling Rhett earlier today,
What's that?
if you could have a random encounter with any celebrity, who would you want to meet? He said Dolly Parton.
Oh.
That's what Lucas Panzica said. Well, once upon a time, a young Mickey Ryan met Dolly Parton
What?
in a tiny hallway in the basketball arena at Arkansas State University. And it was the smallest hallway in the entire place.
So you were forced to talk to? She was forced to talk to you?
She was forced to talk to me. So
Okay.
I've told this story before. Conway Twitty came and he played a show there. And my friends and I always thought, well, we're trying to be musicians. We need to work these concerts. We'll meet famous people. We could give them our demo tape. But we're trying to make it like we're trying to be like hair metal, rock band. And these people are all hardcore country artists. So we realized, okay, this is never going to work. But we had signed up one semester to work all of the concerts. All my friends were, let's just say, artificially enhanced from a muscular standpoint. And, these dudes got jacked. They were on roids. So they all got jacked. There was a doctor in Jonesboro who would write you a prescription for back pain.
Oh, man. Hey, so some of this conversation, I don't know, it's supposed to be public.
The statute of limitations is up. That's long ago. I don't think that doctor's with us anymore either. She's at the big steroid counter in the sky, I think. So if she liked you, she'd write you a prescription. She'd write you a prescription for back pain for steroids. And so one day, I actually saw her. She's like, how come you don't ever see me? I'm like, look at me. What do you think steroids are going to do for this frame? So she wanted to sell me steroids, and I said no. So we signed up for a semester to work on
She was really not talking about your frame, but anyway, we'll move forward.
So we all signed up for a semester. You could be on the concert, whatever. It had a name. It was basically you just work like dogs for free. So we signed up to work it. So one of the first ones we worked was Conway Twitty. And for the life of me, I've told this story. His bass player was the kindest, greatest gentleman. He told me all these stories. If I could remember his name, I would shout him out because if he's around, I bet he's around here. I cannot remember his name. Somebody's going to put this in his own TV chat because y'all know everything. Very kind gentleman. So Conway Twitty's tour manager gathers us all up before Conway got there. And he says, all right, everybody, gather around. And so we all gather around, and my friends are unloading light trusses and things. And he's like, little guy, get me a guitar tuner. That would be my jobs. Mm-hmm. So all of us go gather around this guy, and he just starts to unload Conway will be here in 17 minutes. When Mr. Twitty enters the arena, he will enter through the South Bay doors.
Did he have dip in his mouth?
He did not.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he did. And so we're like, okay, well, there's only one set of doors like that where you could back a truck in. So we knew a door. So he's like, he will enter. He will then go to the second level of the arena. He will listen to the sound at various spots in the arena before making his way to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not address Mr. Twitty as Conway, as Mr. Twitty, or anything, because you don't talk to Conway Twitty when he comes in the building. So this guy's being a total something that rhymes with Rick. And so we're just like, wow, this guy's just undressing us. I mean, we were going to talk to him anyway. And so sure enough, 17 minutes later, down to the minute, they had it all down to a science. This dude walks in through the back, the South Bay doors. He goes upstairs. He walks around. He's listening hard at the music. And he's a professional. He's Conway bleeping Twitty, for goodness sakes. He does whatever he wants. So he goes around, he listens to everything, comes up on the stage. Everybody like looks in the other direction. Like we're scrambling. I know this is radio, but like just think of your like
No, they can see you on the stream. Yeah.
like when your dog's embarrassed, you know, like your dog just ate your shoe, and the dog's like, I don't know about any shoes. I've never seen a shoe. I hate shoes. So we're all just scrambling around. And so somebody made the mistake, I think, at one point of like, you know, hey, have a good show, or whatever. And the manager's like chased him off. So we got mad. So we said, here's what we're going to do.
Oh.
We're going to make this guy's life miserable. Not Conway Twitty, but the tour manager. So during the show, they had one song where he played where they had these 2 giant disco balls that they raised up, and it made it like all shiny and sparkly in the arena. Mm-hmm. So after it was over, one of them was fairly light for what they were. They were big, old-fashioned, like glass-coated disco balls. And they went in each in their own road case. And so he's like, little guy, you and Royd Rage, you guys each take one of these and put them in the truck 7 or whatever. So we get down the hallway, and my friend's like, look, this is the last thing we got to do. Let's just go. And I said, with what? He goes, let's just take these balls because they'll never find any more like this, and that guy will get in trouble. So we just ran and threw them in the back of our pickup trucks and drove away. We just drove away.
Where are those disco balls today?
For the longest time, this is 1,000% true. You can look it up on Google Maps. My friend's dad farmed. He's a corporate farmer. His main farm shop, Twitty's balls, were on the Wiener Cutoff Road. Harrisburg, Arkansas, and Wiener, Arkansas, which is a town near mine, are connected by one gravel road, and it's called the Wiener Cutoff.
No.
Conway Twitty's balls were stored in a farm shop on the Wiener Cutoff.
With that doctor right there.
Well, my friend became a doctor who stole the balls with me. And so this is as true. This is the craziest thing ever. I had a friend who like went to see his cousins in Kansas City within that same week. And he came back, and I was like, what did you do while you're in Kansas City? He's like, I went to a music concert. We saw Conway Twitty. I was like, really? He was just here. He goes, man, this is so funny. He came out, and they had this one song where these disco balls, and Conway was like, I got me 2 brand new disco balls. Ain't they pretty? I said,
oh, my God.
I know where the old ones are. So this is taking a long time to get there. So hashtag Twitty balls. We can get that trending again today in Nashville. So we took those balls. I don't know if they're there anymore. I don't think they are. But after that, we still had like 4 more concerts to work, and one of them was Dolly Parton. And so she shows up, and this was probably around 1990, so this is 32 years ago. And I don't know how old that would have put Miss Dolly then. Still a beautiful lady. She was probably in her 40s.
Yeah, Dolly is 76.
Okay.
So, yes, she was in her 40s.
So, whatever, I don't want to do math live here. So, that's roughly 42 years ago. So, at one point, I get sent to go get a nail file for, somebody, whatever I got sent to do. So, there's these long hallways, but one kind of culminates in its own little, like a hallway inside a hallway. It's just the way they designed it. It makes no sense. So I open my door, and right as the door closes behind me, the door closes behind somebody else down just like 20 feet away. It's Dolly Parton. And so I'm like, I don't know where to go. I'm trying to hide. Like I throw myself against the wall because we've been told, like, don't talk to Conway Twitty. So I'm thinking, she's bigger than he is. What are we going to do? So I throw myself against the wall, and she starts laughing and walks right up to me. And she goes, did they tell y'all not to talk to me? And I said, no, ma'am. No. I just, she goes, well, look at me. You can talk to me anytime you see me. Okay, son? And I was like, yes, ma'am, Miss Dolly. And she was like, you have a good day. She was so disarming and so nice. Beautiful.
I wish you would have
Dolly Parton.
You should have just hugged her.
You wouldn't have stole her balls.
No, I would not have.
Mm-mm.
If I had hugged her, I'd probably be in jail. I don't think she would have said anything.
No,
but
she would have hugged you right back.
She would have hugged me right back.
Yeah, she would have.
So when I first moved to town, I was trying to make it a musical. I knew a lot of people who were doing the same thing, and they were parking cars and working all these different. Everybody had a Dolly Parton story because at that time she was kind of out and about, maybe more than what she is now. And I had a guy who told me he was parking cars at a big charity event, and he said like a limo pulled up, and I don't want to throw any bands under the bus because who knows what they're doing today, but a band that was here today and gone literally the next day pulled up in a limo and got out and big time this guy. And he said a couple minutes later, this 4-wheel drive pulls up and you just see hair over the steering wheel and it's Dolly. And she jumps out and like throws in the keys and says, "Not a scratch, my man." And then just keeps on going with her life. So all these things about her where she's like curing COVID and, things like that. She was always a very kind person, but you just look at all she's contributed now. I mean, my son has a box full of books that Dolly Parton sent him because we signed up for it when he was born. So she had the telethon when people lost all their stuff in the fire over there. I mean, this is somebody who's raised all this money and just throws goodwill into the universe at every turn.
Yeah, I've worked for her at the one of the fundraisers on doing the phone calls.
The phone-a-thon, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure enough.
So did you get to meet her?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I said. I just go up and give her a hug. Yeah, because I've done that.
Okay. Well, see, now you're a famous Titan. I was just some dude carrying equipment in rural Arkansas in the 90s. So
Yeah, I just wanted to say I got to hug Dolly.
and she was probably cool as she could be.
Oh, yeah. I felt like she was more hugging me than me hugging her. Yeah. Thank you,
See,
Dolly.
Lucas, we have both lived your dream.
Yeah.
And Blaine,
Oh,
even
man.
more so than me.
That was pretty cool, though, getting to meet Dolly, though. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, they say don't meet your heroes, but that is one that I think you could feel pretty secure that if you did cross paths.
I've never heard one thing about her. And if you live in this town long enough, someone would be like, "Oh, she showed, this person showed up this one time and dog cussed." No, nothing about her. Nothing. Zero. I've never heard one disparaging word about her. So, see, that's a good hero for you, young Lucas. That is a very good one.
Oh, man, we're gonna have to have a segment of Mickey telling stories.
We did that one summer.
Because we basically did that for a whole segment.
Well, I didn't mean to hijack the whole segment. I didn't
No,
mean
We
to.
that's
got to
great.
figure out how we can turn this into something.
Well-
I love how you tell your stories, man, because you get your Nick Saban in, your hands moving and stuff, and then you're like, oh, people can't see me, then you're making these faces.
And then you always remind me, like, they can see you if they're watching online. Because I
Yeah.
always think, well, it's radio. Nobody can see it.
Yeah, right. So you do a great job, man. I feel like I was right there in the moment. Then you start crawling the walls.
I'm crawling the walls.
Everything trying to get out the way. And, man, your reenactment of the whole story was pretty fascinating, especially your recall and your memory. So that was how special a moment that was.
Oh, gosh. I can remember what she looked like, even while climbing the wall to get away from her. And she was like, "Get off the wall. Did they tell y'all not to talk to me?" No, yes, no. It's fine.
You didn't want to throw anybody under the
I
bus.
didn't
huh?
want to. And they didn't say don't talk to her because I guess she had told her tour
You
manager,
just
don't
made an
ever.
assumption.
I'm just making an assumption because I could not talk to Mr. Twitty. All right, Mr. Twitty, if you're listening, wherever you are, we appreciate all of you hanging out with us today. Bill says, landscape working in Hendersonville in the 80s, I removed a downed tree from Twitty's ex, he says. So Bill is out there sweating in the hot sun in the 80s. Hopefully he's not doing it today. All right, big show coming up today. Got fun guests. Lots going on with the Nashville Predators. We'll have Alex Dougherty, who joins us next. SEC Mike in hour number 2. Call your shot also in hour number 2. It is a big Friday, and we love having you with us on Blaine and Mickey. Just make sure you say hey when you see us.
Happy Friday!
Blaine Mickey 104.5, The Zone. People are sharing stories with us in the Zone TV chat. We got Alex Dougherty coming up in just 1 second, but Robert in Smyrna is on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline and has a story about the Queen Dolly Parton. Robert, welcome into Blaine and Mickey. What you got?
I grew up in Antioch, but back in about 84, I was dating a girl that lived out off of Concord Road. And she lived right around the corner and right beside Dolly Parton. And we used to watch her house all the time and see people coming in and out. So we knew when she would go on tour. So she had a built-in swimming pool, so we would jump over the fence and go swimming in her swimming pool while she was out of town. Well, one day we jumped over the fence and we didn't realize her husband was at home. And we were swimming in the swimming pool and we were doing some stuff we wasn't supposed to be doing. And he come out and caught us and took us over to her dad's house, back to her house, and waited on Dolly to get back in town that afternoon, and had all our parents come out to her house and get on to us for swimming in her swimming pool without permission.
Man, I think she still lives. Thank you for the call, Robert. I think she lives in the same place to this day, if it is where he's describing. Let's bring in Alex Dougherty now from A to Z Sports. Alex, the whole station today has had this theme of encounters with famous people, and we got down the line of Dolly Parton. In all of your time of, living in Middle Tennessee, have you ever had an encounter with Dolly Parton at any point?
Oh, yeah. Not with Dolly Parton, but so a few famous people. Blaine Bishop is one. I'm talking to him right now. He's a famous person I'm talking to.
I have that encounter 5 days a week.
No, I have not had an encounter with Dolly Parton. I don't think I could. I don't think that I could work that. I think I would have to walk away. I would be too starstruck. I would say something stupid, or I would make a fool of myself. So I don't even think I could say hi to her.
See, other than swimming in her pool, while she's not around, I don't think you could do anything to disarm that kind lady. I think she would tell you, that everything was going to be okay. At Alex Dougherty 1 on Twitter, A to Z Sports. So I know one thing about Dolly Parton. She could probably vote better of the Norris Trophy than some of these knuckleheads who did, and completely bamboozled Roman Yossi.
Yeah, I think that the fallout from that has been pretty well discussed. I will say I don't think I think some of the outcry about Yossi winning it, Yossi not winning it and Makar winning it is a little bit exaggerated. I mean, Makar's season was incredible. I mean, he was extremely good from the beginning. I really can't fault the decision that Makar won it. It's all of the underlying things about how it happened.
Sure, like not being on ballots and things. Yes.
Yeah, not being on one ballot. Yossi having more first place votes, more third and fourth place votes. Yossi getting several fourth and fifth place votes to begin with. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty crazy. I think he was absolutely robbed. I wrote about it at azsports.com. You can read it there. But I think that there's only so much you can say about Roman Yossi's season that doesn't end in a Norris Trophy, and it doesn't make sense to me. It probably never will, and it's very strange that two of the closest Norris Trophy races in the last 10 years, in both cases, the Nashville Predators defenseman got robbed. Shea Weber in 2012, Roman Yossi this year. So in 10 years, we'll see another one. I don't know who it's going to be, but we'll probably see another one in 2032.
Just got to figure out who that next prospect is to come and be the next big defenseman for the Preds. So when the Titans ownership changed from Tommy to Amy Adams Strunk, Tommy Smith to Amy Adams Strunk, it completely changed the course of the entire franchise, right? Here's this, kind, friendly lady with a checkbook who's like, sure, I'll buy that. Sure, that's fine. Everything changed. Does the Haslem ownership take over the Preds have potential to change the fortunes of this franchise like it did with the Titans?
So I would say probably not, and that's because if I remember correctly, the Titans under that previous ownership were in pretty dire straits. It was pretty bad at that point. Not a lot of direction. I don't think you can say the same about the Predators, although obviously recently the last couple of years have not been great. The ownership group since 2007 has taken the team to the best. This has been the best 15-year stretch. I mean, it's the franchise is not that old, but this has been a pretty amazing 15-year stretch. I mean, all the things that have happened. It's going to be hard to bump it up another notch. However, I will say a visible owner can do a lot for maybe taking away from issues people have with GMs or with coaches, owners, I mean, across the league. The NHL doesn't have a ton of visible owners, but just in sports in general, teams with more visible owners are able to get some things done that others aren't. And I think with the Predators in specifically, they've got enough momentum to move some capital and to actually do some things. We already know the team's not going anywhere. They don't have that to worry about at all. And not a lot of teams can say that. They're not going anywhere, staying in Nashville. If anything, they're expanding their Nashville presence. And so I think Haslem can probably step in, and although it's going to be a long time before he's actually majority owner, 3, maybe 4 years, he can probably step in and push some things at the right moment and at the right time to make some sort of a change that does impact the team, as opposed to the last 15 years where the owners just bought the team, gave the keys to Sean Henry and David Poile and said, y'all go do your thing. I think it has the potential to be a pretty good partnership or a pretty good situation.
Alex Dougherty, our guest, covers the Preds for A to Z Sports at Alex Dougherty1 on Twitter.
Well, Alex, sticking with the ownership, do you think maybe this being in the backdrop actually affected anything with Forsberg and getting a new contract done, or no?
No, I don't think so. I think that question was asked a couple times. Like, I think it had been in the works for about 6 months, and obviously they've been working on the Philip Forsberg contract ever since last July. So I wouldn't think so. I think Poile is probably just putting his head down and trying to get it done, and he just can't. Obviously, I don't know how much of it was news yesterday, but Poile coming out and saying specifically, yes, we're offering an 8-year contract.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not news. I mean, everyone kind of already knew that because that's the maximum they can offer. It's the one thing that the Predators can give him that no other team can give him. And, so them offering him an 8-year deal was no surprise to me. However, he put that out there, and that's not an insignificant move from David Poile. He doesn't normally do that. So that's interesting. And it obviously just comes down to money. Will they be willing to give him more than $9 million? And if they do, what does the rest of the contract look like? Is it a full no trade or no move clause? Are there bonuses involved? Are there other things? I mean, heck, people are buying the team. Maybe he's going to get a stake in team ownership at that point. I don't know what they're going to do with to make it happen, but I know David Poile wants to do it. So there seems to be no progress other than no progress. The only thing we know consistently is there has been no progress in the last several months.
Well, let's say this then, and we can hypothetically think about what's going on as far as the contracts. But do you think Poile thinks he's worth one thing and Forsberg and his agent thinks it's another, and the gap is so big that they're saying we're going to hold back Pat until maybe free agency gets here and they're maybe a week away from him being a free agent?
My thought from the beginning has been that David Poile was waiting to just slowly go up in the price. And what I think has probably happened is I think David Poile has reached a number that he just can't go above. And he's maybe trying to work other ways around getting them what they want. But it seems silly to make it a difference of just let's say the difference is $1 million. It seems silly to make that difference $1 million. Well, as we all know, that difference of $1 million is really more like 2 or 3 in terms of living in Tennessee and paying no income tax. It's like I think from Poile's perspective, he's thinking your quality of life is better. You've got your setup here. You've already got a stake in Nashville. You've already got everything you need. Why do you need this extra, $1 million on your salary? From Forsberg's side, from his agent side, it's we want to get what he's worth. We want to, and the other thing we just have to consider is that I think he probably wants to test the market. Poile mentioned this yesterday. I think he probably wants to test the market and see what offers are out there. It's entirely possible he tests the market, doesn't get maybe even close to the number he thinks he gets. Let's say his number is $10 million. Let's say he wants $10 million a year. there may be one team out there willing to give it to him, but maybe it's like, Seattle or something, a rebuilding team.
Kraken.
He might not exactly. He might not want to do that. He might come back and say, "All right, I test the market. I'll take your $9 million. We'll go with 8 years, $9 million." This has happened before. If you remember last year, Mikhail Granlund they didn't trade him. He expired, became a UFA. He tested the market. About 5 days after the market opened, they signed Mikhail Granlund to a 4-year, $5 million a year deal. So I think that's what happened with him. Maybe the same thing happens to Forsberg. So even if there's no signing as of free agency, July 13th, it's still not out of the woods.
So what is the plan B, and then how does that affect how you go about the draft? I mean, because you're beholden. If you lose them, then you may have to go in a different direction. So kind of take us through the lay of the land for that.
Yeah, I mean, you made the Titans comparison earlier. There is a perfect Titans comparison here, obviously, with the A.J. Brown situation. I mean, when the Titans went into that A.J. Brown situation during the draft, they had to make a move, and John Robinson made that move. I mean, I'm not calling it, but you could see something similar to that with David Coyle on July 7th when the draft starts. There's a name out there, that's been in trade talks, and there's plenty of names out there, but Patrick Laine is available, it seems, with Columbus. Maybe there's a trade day deal in which they get Patrick Laine, sign him to a long-term contract, and then they let Philip Forsberg go wherever he wants. So there are some options. That might be an option. Another option might just be signing a replacement in free agency, the best name of which is Johnny Gaudreau, who, I mean, to be honest, they could plug Johnny Gaudreau into the lineup and not really miss Forsberg's presence that much.
For how much, though?
For probably more than they pay Forsberg. Probably more. He probably would get 10. Johnny Gaudreau had 115 points last year. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think Johnny Gaudreau would be an option. But here's the thing. They could go out and sign Mario Lemieux in his prime, and nothing is going to take the sting away from letting Philip Forsberg walk and not getting anything for him. And people are going to be mad about that for a long time.
There you have it. One with Alex Dougherty. All things Preds.
How active do you think, let's go back a little bit to this ownership stuff before we let you go. How active do you think Haslem will be in the decision-making?
If you're talking about the team day to day, I really don't think very much. I mean, it sounds like he knows enough about hockey to be interested in it, and he's obviously following the Predators. He's a fan of the team and all that. I really don't think that he would step in and say, "I need you to go sign this guy because we need this kind of presence in our lineup." I just can't see that. Hockey's not as ingrained in the South as some of us would like to think of it, and so I think that he is going to trust the people under him. I mean, he mentioned yesterday, when he ran the state government, he didn't know anything about prisons and education and healthcare and all these different things, like all the details there. He relied on his people to do that. And I think bringing up that comparison, I think indicates he's probably going to trust his GM to just go make the right decisions. I can't see him stepping in like a Jerry Jones type and saying, "We want to go get this defenseman, we need him now, and if we can't get him, then I'm going to get someone who can."
Okay. It was interesting, and again, we're on with Alex Dougherty, who covers the Preds for A to Z Sports. He was asked about, and I don't know how it was phrased, what are his goals, what's he going to do? He mentioned the development potential for the block that the Preds sit on. Gosh, we got a lot of development, and I thought, well, this guy is a businessman. What in the world else are we going to see down there? I mean, drink stands on the perimeter. What are they going to do to make more money?
Well, if it's anything like what Sean Henry told us, we had a meeting with Sean Henry earlier in the season about some of their big plans. I mean, the biggest thing that we can probably imagine would be some sort of a rooftop environment, right? So, if you go downtown now, everyone is expanding and moving to the roofs, right? It's like a big thing in Nashville: rooftop bars, rooftop restaurants. I think you could see something like that. You could see a nice big old concourse rooftop thing where we've got parking attached and you've got plenty of, outdoor hangouts and restaurants and shops and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be one thing. I mean, obviously you can't go out. You got to go up. Because if you're downtown, you can't go anywhere else. So That's all I can see, and that was kind of alluded to in our conversations with Sean Henry earlier in the year. And Sean Henry's not going anywhere. It doesn't seem like so. I think that's probably still the plan. And now Haslem gives them a little bit more capital to get it done.
You think he gets involved with owners? Because I guess this got brought up as well, him being possibly involved in ownership of other Nashville sports teams. What do you think? I mean, dare I say it? Could he help bring Major League Baseball here?
Well, he did own a minor league baseball team at one point, and he owned the Smokies, I believe, and at one point, and helped move them to Sevier County. I don't know. That was a really interesting non-answer from him. I mean, I think probably he's probably just focused on this, but I wouldn't rule it out, certainly. I mean, I'd be a fan of that. I'm a huge baseball guy. I mean, that would be great for me. I would just want to be a fan. But I think that would be interesting. We'll see if that actually materializes. That's probably a number of years down the road, but yeah, it could be coming.
Alex Daugherty coming on the show with us. Blaine and Mickey talking Preds from A to Z Sports.
Well, Alex, after I guess it's not over yet. We're watching the Avs. Do you feel a little bit better about maybe even though they got swept, about where the Preds are actually at, or you still think that they're really far from having a shot at getting to the Cup, Stanley Cup?
So I think it's pretty clear the Predators are very far away from being a legitimate contender. However, not every playoff and not every champion is built the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think we'll look back at this. I mean, I think the Avalanche are going to win it. I think that's pretty clear at this point. There's no way. I don't think a team has come back down 3-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals since like the 40s or something. So they're going to win it. I think we could look back and say this Colorado Avalanche team is one of the best of this era. I mean, like they're just loaded at every position, and they might even win another one. I mean, they'll probably be very good for a couple of years. But I think if you think about it, like if you need to get better, the Predators need to get better, and they also kind of need other teams to get a little worse. I mean, you can't just try to improve your own team. You kind of need to get a little lucky. Maybe the Blues fall off. Maybe the Dallas Stars go through a dark period. Maybe Colorado hits a wall and has to trade some of their players. You can't always just think about it. Well, in 5 years they need to be as good as the Avalanche were in 2022. If you build your team smart with smart decisions, thinking about the salary cap, always thinking 5 years ahead, and thinking about how are you going to draft good talent, how are you going to develop these players in Milwaukee. What's your goaltending situation look like? How's your defense pipeline? Are you developing any forwards? Are you having to get forwards in free agency? If you're able to think about all these things, I don't think you have to worry like, well, we're not where Colorado is now. If we're not there in 3 years, we need to revisit, because the league's going to be different in 3 years. The league's going to be different next year. So I think that, yeah, they're definitely like at least 6 players away from being like Colorado now, but in 5 years, maybe they're only a player away. They go make a trade deadline move, and then they're right back in the Stanley Cup final. So you're never as far away from it as you think you are, in my opinion. And I think that there's always room to improve from year to year.
Well, lastly, with all that being said, then, what is missing from the Predators? Just overall. Not, you don't have to be about the player, but what do they have missing that's keeping them from just being barely into the playoffs and really middle of the road NHL team?
They need to get some speed and skill back in the lineup. Then they need it in the depths of their forward crew. I think that the defense is going to be okay. I think that the top of the forward lineup with Matthew Shane, Mikhail Granlund, and whoever they get to replace Philip Forsberg if he doesn't stay, is there. It's just they need more speed and skill, and they need some of these younger guys to develop into that. Tomasino, Tolvanen, Cody Glass, some of the younger guys that we haven't even seen yet, Afanasyev, who's in Milwaukee, maybe him. There's a lot of options, but they've got to develop some of those forwards into speed and skill. They can't. They've got the size. They've got the physicality. They led the league in major penalties. They are obviously not easy to play against anymore. So phase 1 of the John Hines, get tougher, get harder to play against, that's done. Now they've got to get better at skill. They've got to get faster. They've got to get more skilled. And I think that's what they're probably going to do. I think that's what we're going to see this offseason.
Yeah.
Alex, great stuff, man. Thanks for the time today, and also for the Afanasyev name drop. That was my guy in the draft. I called that one. Afanasyev. Yeah. It sounds like a Missy Elliott lyric. "'Tis Europe of an Afanasyev."
Let me give you one name for the draft, all right, before we go.
Blaine Bishop.
They will go backwards.
I don't know if Blaine's eligible. Blaine, are you eligible? Are you ready
I
to
do not
draft?
think so.
He's
man.
got eligibility
My back
left,
is
yes.
hurting just sitting here.
Who's your name?
There's a defenseman, Leon Bischel.
Bishop.
Swiss defenseman, Bischel, Bichsel. I think it's how you
Yeah,
say
I got you.
it.
El
You gotta be
Bizzle for
careful with
shizzle.
that.
Yes.
Be careful with that on the radio, I guess. 6'5", 220, big guy, left-handed shot, really good skater, Swiss defenseman. Hey, they've nailed that before, so could be a guy they go after, Leon Bischel, if he falls to them. So
Leon Bischel. You heard it here first. Joining my man Afanasyev. Hey, Alex, have a great weekend, man. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate it, Alex.
of course, talk to you guys later.
Always good to talk to Alex. All right, when we come back, we got NBA draft stuff. We got Jeremy from White House for the celebrity encounter. We got lots of stuff to get to on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. We got this to get to right now. You can take a selfie with Ryan Blaney's number 12 Ford Mustang, which is a fantastic car, at the Advanced Auto Parts in Murfreesboro today. Oh, no, it's not today. Tomorrow. Oh, it's tomorrow, says Lucas. It's Saturday, June 25th from 8 to 12. Advanced Auto Parts. You can still go buy auto parts there today, but you can see this beautiful Ryan Blaney number 12 Ford Mustang in Advanced Auto Parts in Murfreesboro tomorrow, Saturday, June 25th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Again, Advanced Auto Parts, 128 West Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. We will see you there because Rhett Bryan is going to be there. So tell him I said, "What up?" Let's talk to all you folks who are homeowners out there, because if you own a home, you're always spending money on the home. So you want nice things, right? You want like the cool aggregate driveway, and you want a nice deck or patio, probably build a nice privacy fence, right? And you got all this masonry and stone and aggregate and wood. And what do you do then? You put it out there and then you just leave it and you watch it crack and rot, and the weather just destroys it, and it destroys the wood on your fence and your deck and all this stuff. And all you had to do was EverSeal it. That's it. That was the solution. And guess what? You still have that solution because there's still EverSeal. They can come and seal all this stuff. It's an amazing product. It was started for industrial applications. Somebody thought, man, if you put this stuff on your fence, it'll last forever. Last 25 years. That's the guarantee. So stop all the madness with the power washer every year and you trying to slap some little sealant on there that you know is not going to work. Call the pros. Call EverSeal 1-844-EVER-USA. Get an estimate for all of it, or you can hit them up online. You can see what they do at ever-seal.com. EverSeal. Blaine Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Happy Friday to you. So there's been this theme on the station. I've been hearing people call all day, and they've been talking about celebrity encounters. So we've got Jeremy who wants to talk about that. We got Coach T who wants to talk about the NBA draft, which was last night, and some typical NBA draft insanity. Let's get Jeremy's call first on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for your patience. Thanks for holding.
Yeah, hey, guys. Good to talk to y'all. So my celebrity I got to run into was in '99, after the Titans had won the AFC Championship. At the time, my wife, now my ex-wife, we went to the Cool Springs Mall, and we were going to get an AFC Championship hat. And coming out of the luggage store was my guy, Steve McNair, and I was just in shock and awe. And I got my picture with him. He signed my hat because I was wearing a Titans hat, and I kind of had my hand on his shoulder, and he's a big man. I thought maybe he'd beat me up because I was touching him. But anyway, he was such a super nice guy. And ever since then, I've had the luxury of meeting some Titans. I work with a former Titan, Dr. Dyson. And so it's just really cool to just be able to stay in the hometown and meet these guys that live in the town with you. And so it was just a special time for me.
Yeah, man, that's late great McNair, Blaine's teammate.
Yeah, that's some legends there, both him and our teammate,
Dr. Dyson. By the way, happy birthday yesterday to Dr.
no
Dyson.
doubt. To the doctor.
29 years old, I think, this year. So happy birthday to Dr. Dyson. Coach T up next to talk about that wild night of NBA draft. It was like it always is. It was crazy. Coach T, how you doing? Did you enjoy the draft?
Coach T.
Man, I actually enjoyed it. What's up, B? I enjoyed the draft, man. Actually, it was, obviously, we know the top three, top four. I know that Jabari and then Kara kind of switched places there and Holmgren stayed home at number 2. But I really think the Indiana-bred Jaden Ivey, when it's all said and done, the way they talked about him, got the John Morant type mom. She's had her nails into the NBA, and then, of course, she's the head coach at Notre Dame. So the kid has kind of been around the game. I think with his knowledge, he's going to be good. But 2 questions for you guys. One, there was no mention of any draft choice last night. That was the new, say, Steph Curry, right? So that means Steph is going to be okay. And then the other question is, Blaine, I know when you and I used to do the Batman and Robin show back in the day all the time, we talked about kids staying in school, and our own Scottie Pippen Jr. here in Vandy, and, of course, Covey out of University of Illinois didn't get picked up. So now what does that say about the youth that's trying to go to the league at the next level? You guys think they should stay in, and hang in there another couple of years, or continue to jump out and make this stuff just one and done?
Coach T, thank you for the phone call.
I think that's the biggest question, really, especially when I saw even Chandler got drafted in the second round with the 38th pick. The type of money he's going to get, which is not going to be guaranteed, he could make that and probably even more as an NIL deal. I think you get like $2 million or something per year, maybe, in a contract there, which is not guaranteed. I think a 2-year deal worth $2.5 million or something like that.
I saw similar numbers.
So I
talking about
ooh.
Kenny Chandler at 38. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then
Spurs.
Yeah, and then
to the Grizz.
Pippen, into the Grizz.
Yes,
which was
of course, there
cool.
was a trade.
Yeah, and actually, they make sure they kind of keep them connected because it's all business to them, and it just happens that way consistently in the NBA. So. And then Pippen Jr., not getting drafted at all, getting a 10-day contract with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should be more informed. Sometimes they can be informed and make the decision anyway because they say, I can't get any better than this, depending on each individual situation. So I think it's a tough call. I think if you feel like you're there, then make the move and, follow your heart. But make sure you're getting good guidance. If you're doing that, understand there can be some pitfalls with that decision. And if it doesn't work out, what's your backup plan and be prepared for the worst. And if not, you'll get a shot, but maybe not in the position you want to be. Just think about this. Like, this is Hugh Chandler. If he came back, then he maybe was all SEC, maybe even SEC Player of the Year, maybe even makes All-American, the first one of the top 3 teams of All-American. Does he then go in the first round looked at differently because, maybe a top 20 pick for sure in that boat, maybe 15. So you just never know. I know Pippen's tested the waters last year, didn't get a good review, and then he played another year. I think he made the right decision. I don't think he could have gotten any better and done anything any differently. I think he's kind of that tweener. He's kind of a scoring guard, so there's great positions for those guys. He's I think he measured at 6'1", 2-ish. So he's kind of that tweener guy, So he's not a true point guard. He wasn't dishing and diming, He was scoring. So, man, there's a whole bunch of those guys coming off the bench doing a great job, man, and making tons of millions of dollars. So,
and a difference with NBA guys is they're actually allowed to test the waters, and if they get feedback that they don't like from scouts or people that make the decisions, they can always go back to college.
Yeah, that's what Pippen did.
So
he came back this year, and then he knew the ramifications that there was a possibility, even going into the draft. I think he thought that I'm probably not going to get drafted, but hoping that he was, especially with the lineage name and everything else. These measurables again. He wasn't, the 6'4" guy with these long arms. I think that's kind of what they were saying with Kennedy, who has long arms, but not the height that you want. I think the game that you kind of can see what it was like playing an NBA player defensively, I think was Texas Tech. I think the whole team actually didn't play well that game, but Texas Tech had a team with length all over the place. Even their point guard was like 6'6". Whoa, hey, what's going on here? So I think he's going to do fantabulous, Chandler, for sure, and Pippen. I think both of them are going to make the NBA and do a solid job, and may not be where they want to be initially as far as starting or anything like that, but I think they're going to make a roster and contribute.
Did you see who else the Lakers signed? While they're out signing people's sons, they signed Sharif O'Neal, son of Shaquille.
Oh, I saw he had a workout. I didn't know they signed him.
Yeah, I think it's also a 10-day contract. So
Okay.
if you got a famous daddy, head on over to the Lakers.
There were two guys from Northeast Arkansas on the Lakers last year, Malik Monk and Austin Reeves. One is from Lepanto and the other one is from Cedar Ridge, is the high school.
He's from Kentucky. He's from Lexington.
Those dudes, I did their games years ago. Those dudes are both from Northeast Arkansas and both made the Lakers. So that's like when people say anything can come true, that's the middle of nowhere.
While your Arkansas pride is showing, DeMario Davis today helping the Saints out, but he can make $18 million over the next year. I figured we'd shout him out. While
He deserves every
Arkansas.
penny.
$18 million in 1 year. How's that?
He got extended a year, I think, and ate some salary cap for him this year.
Oh, but so he gets
all
million?
he gets all his money. It's one of those deals like, take all this money and you're really helping us.
Oh.
Make it a signing bonus, kick the can down the road. He's in the same draft class as T.Y. Hilton. And we're kind of wondering if this is it with T.Y. They were both third-round draft picks out of the Sun Belt, which is like being a first-round pick unless you're a left tackle or a pass rusher, because it's almost impossible to be a first-round pick out of the MAC or the Sun Belt unless you're a left tackle or a pass rusher.
Or a quarterback.
And so everybody else, the third round is the first round. So they both were third-round picks. And DeMario literally, we wonder if this is it for T.Y. Hilton. And DeMario gets better, it seems like, every year.
He does.
He is one of those
double-digit tackles for loss the last 5 years of his career. Since he's been 28.
He is a Blaine Bishop, though. What did I not do as well last year? Every year
getting better.
1 year he went to the sand and ran on the sand every day for like a whole off season because he needed to get quicker. And the thing about him was
his pass coverage, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing they said about him. Like, fantastic.
Every time I watch him, I say, hey, look, he has no problem at all to me.
Was his ability to cover in space, because it was a big athletic guy, but could he change directions? Could he do that? Okay, so he just went and ran on a beach and changed directions for one whole summer. Try to fix that. That's
I feel
the way
like I know him after listening to you all these years.
That's my man. I love him.
Yeah,
I love him.
Great guy too.
Oh,
right?
he's the
I've
best.
seen him in a couple of interviews too. Sit down interviews on the Four Letter Network and everything else. So I just like, man, that guy. He's a great dude and good in the community as well.
And McNair's cousin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You see McNair's cousin.
Oh, I didn't know.
So it makes it even better bloodline right there. All right. We got a good bloodline coming up for hour number 2. We'll call our shot. We got SEC Mike. We got lots to get to. The magazines are out. It'll be football season before you know it.
We just ain't bloodline.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Stanley Cup Finals could be decided tonight. The Cup will be in the house in Denver as the Avalanche, up 3-1 in the series over the Tampa Bay Lightning, will look to take it home at home. A 7 p.m. puck drop. College World Series Championship Final begins tomorrow. Ole Miss going up against Oklahoma after the Rebels eliminated Arkansas on Thursday. It is a 6 p.m. first pitch for Game 1 on Saturday. Nashville Soccer Club in action tomorrow, an afternoon kickoff on the road at DC United at 4 p.m. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Blaine Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Woo! Friday. Man, we are running downhill now. It is after 2 o'clock. We're halfway through this sprint of a show, so we appreciate you hanging out with us today. And then we got 3HL coming up to get you the rest of the way home today. I saw this morning. I actually saw it on Pro Football Talk, but it was via the old rascal Terry McCormick out there, Titans Insider. That's what he goes by. Titans have had preliminary contract discussions with Amani Hooker.
Oh, I liked that when I saw that.
I wanted to talk to a former Titans safety about that because you've always – so I even wrote this down because the thing that you brought up was –
allotment of money you use at that position.
At each position.
Mm-hmm.
Do you – and Lucas is in here too. Bird is rocking the wheels of steel. So I went, look, man, there are two – websites that I look at every day. One is Pro Football Reference, which I love because it's all stats.
And then the other one's how you get luxurious hair like Lucas.
I don't even waste my time on that because I'll never get back to that point. Lucas has got 20-plus years on me.
That's never been said about me, so thank you.
So,
oh, yeah, you got the lovely locks.
The other one is Spot Track. It's the easiest website. I know there's over the cap. Spot Track's much easier to look at, much easier to deal with. It's a much cleaner website. So you can look cap allocation by position per team. Oh, it's the best. Oh, I just nerd out.
That was just almost like eating Italian pie, huh?
Oh, Italian cream cake.
Italian cream cake.
By the way, I will be in Arkansas this weekend. I'm going to see if I can find an Italian cream cake.
Can they make it back here and be good?
Oh, I'll make sure it's good. I'll stick that thing in a cooler or something.
Oh, please do.
Italian. Now, my sweet grandmother is... Now, she made some Italian cream cake. She also made Italian spaghetti, as if there's another kind. She made that as well. Italian.
I made some of that last night.
Yeah, lit up over some Italian spaghetti, did you? So that's, and again, if you're Italian, I'm just quoting what my grandmother said. I'm not trying to take a shot at you. But anyway, I'll see if I can find Italian cream cake. So who's making Italian cream cake money? Do you guys
safety as a tandem, right?
Safety. Well, this would be the whole position, which there's like at least two guys ain't making nothing.
Yeah.
Because, the two guys that don't start are making league minimum. You know that. So who do you think? Lucas says, well, Bert, if you want to weigh in, sometimes Bert just nails these random questions of mine.
Sometimes it doesn't measure up based off of even if they're really good. It just depends on when their contracts are up.
So cap dollars in 2022, who is paying their safeties the most? Cap dollars in 2022. So who is paying the most?
Upcoming season.
Cap dollars this coming season.
Saints?
In the words of Flipper. Thanks, Bert. No, it ain't the Saints.
Oh, man, I'm trying to think of the teams.
I'll say the Ravens. They just paid Marcus Williams a lot of money. They drafted Kyle Hamilton, and they're paying Chuck Clark.
Now, they may have lowered their cap numbers, so they're not the highest cap number. So sometimes when guys get new deal, cap numbers go down, right? So it's a good guess,
first
Bert.
year of Marcus Williams, too. So
that
it's
is,
a low cap
you
number.
can have a bowl of gumbo because it is not the same.
Here's how you start breaking it down. You guys can help me then recall. Who are the top safeties in the league? Now we're going to go individually.
Steelers.
All right.
Minka Fitzpatrick.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He got a new deal, so his cap is
huge deal.
So his deal went down. So maybe this is an adequate way of doing this exercise now that we go through this.
Who's another big-time safety? Who?
Derwin James with the Chargers.
Derwin James. I don't think he's gotten a new contract quite yet. He's still on his rookie
They're
deal.
number 9. So this would be like vet guys getting paid a lot of money. Not
Jamal Adams. Good one. Bert. Silence.
It's like I'm looking at a frozen screen.
Seattle is 4.
Oh, okay. So
I had
we're
to
getting
remember who he
closer.
was. Seattle is 4.
All right. Well,
Who did you think it would be? Which team has the 2 safeties that everybody always talks about?
And I'm blanking. That's what's killing me right now.
It rhymes with Huffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
Poyer and
Buffalo,
and
right.
my guy.
And I like both of those guys.
Everybody likes those guys.
But guess what? I don't think they are elite, but I think they're really good. And actually, I would compare them to the Titans, Byard and Hooker. That's how much respect I have for Hooker and what he does. I think it's underrated.
Buffalo is number 5. Only 5 teams have 20+ mil of caps. So this tells you, because you said, my fear is that not that you were saying, my thinking is not that Amani Hooker's not good enough for money. It's how much money do you give to the safety room?
Right.
Only 5 teams have $20 million or more allocated to the safety room.
Yeah,
Cincinnati is number 1, $27 million.
Oh, because they franchised the guy, what's his Simmons? Bates, yeah, Bates. Yeah. Where's Denver Broncos?
2.
Yeah.
$25 million.
Simmons,
Arizona is 3, 21. Seattle is 3, 21 and change. Seattle is 4. Buffalo is 5, 21 and change. So it's like, okay, you're adding this to whatever Kevin Byard's cap hit is. Here's Kevin Byard's cap hit. So if you wanted to do that math, because everybody else is making the league minimum, their hit would be under $1 million. All the other safeties, I would guess, although they signed.
Okay, but we want to know Byard's.
Byard's cap hits, 3 years left, 12, 14, and 14.
That's not that bad, depending on how much you want to give Hooker up front.
Yeah.
I would offer, I don't know what he'd get on the market. I could be a little low for Hooker, but I would sure test out the waters around. What's the guys from Buffalo making?
21, 287. I'd have to look at them
let's
individually.
just say they're 10 apiece. I would offer Hooker $10 million. Because here's what I'm thinking. I can do this for 1 year with both of them at high salary, but the next year is probably going to be Byard's last year. And I'm not saying with the team at that price. So whether we have to cut him, slice his salary or something, it's peaks and valleys of when you get your contract, when you get your money based off your age. It doesn't matter if you're still productive unless you're some on, Hall of Fame level, which, some people would say Byard is. I would say he's getting closer to that, but he's not quite there yet. So, then the salary starts going down. If you don't want to take the pay cut and you're still productive, they still going to move on because they're going to treat you just like a running back. Like you get to 30, regardless if you're getting production, we're going to move forward and guess that you're going to be done in a year as being an elite player. So I would definitely do it this year and then next year with Byard and Hooker if you gave Hooker an extension because if not, they're going to lose Hooker. Hooker is making play. People forget now, who made that shoestring interception against the Bengals?
Hooker.
That was a heck of a play. I'm talking about. But right now, I can't even bend down to touch my ankles, man. So, woo!
It was like an
Dan's
offensive player would make a play like that.
It was unbelievable. And so I like his instincts. I like his skill set, his ball skills. He's a good all-around safety. Probably great at a few things, but he is you can't get it any better than that. He's right there in line with, the guys from Buffalo to me.
The show's kind of getting off the rails with Mickey talking about stealing balls and Blaine talking about paying hookers.
Yeah. I did not think of that. Thanks there, Berg. Your mind stay out of the gutter there, Berg.
Hooker, this is the last year of his rookie deal. He's scheduled to make $2.5 million.
Yeah, I got him.
It's the last year of his rookie deal.
I'm putting him at $10 million. And he probably is not going to take that. I'm just being because if I'm him, I'm probably going to test the waters. You know why? I'm going to force the issue of them giving me more than that because I'm always going to be in the shadow of Kevin Byard. I can be the guy, and that's how he's going to look at it because he has it. And I said it from the beginning, day one that he got here.
I know you liked him.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and he came out and he was a little perturbed that he went 4th round because he came out as a junior from Iowa. All those Iowa guys, well coached at any position, for whatever reason, those guys, and we could talk about talent, but they're coached right for the NFL.
Boy, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 guys a year. The center this year, Linderbaum was. Nobody ever talks about center for the first round. They got no, not this guy. This first round guy.
And he had short arms and all these other things they want to talk about and length and everything. Yeah, well, didn't matter.
All the tight ends they put in the league, I always put a running back in the league, mid, late round draft guy. I mean, it's just one person after another.
If you're a hooker, are you signing $10 million? See, I want them to stay together. I really do. I think they could be the best safety tandem, not only in Titans history, but in the league. Like right now, today.
If you do it, though, you're telling him, we're doing it a year early. So you have the signing bonus.
Take the break.
It'll never get taken away from you. This signing bonus is your money. It's
going to be hard to walk away from.
Soon as you sign. And I might start at like 9. I know you're saying 10. I'll be the hard GM on this one. Hey, man, 9, here's the signing bonus. That goes straight in your bank account. Soon as you sign, we'll wire it in.
I like it.
Venmo that to you. Yeah, whatever you decide the signing bonus is.
Hooker, Simmons, I got to have them. And I can still wait and pause on the Simmons because you still have 2 years. I mean, to really. Boy. And I would bet money he's not going to hold out.
You want Bert to play that audio about his team again? You want to hear it? You want to hear that again? His team?
Well, as long as they won't be confusing like him, I'm good. Because I don't know what the heck he was talking about. I have no idea. I'm easily confused, and he definitely confused me.
I don't know who's doing what on that team. I don't know. I mean,
can I join this team? Because there'd be a whole bunch of confusion going on.
All right, our team is ready to take a break. We got SEC Mike coming up. Hey, man, it's going to be SEC football before you know it. We will take a look around the headlines, including a future SEC quarterback who is committed to Texas, who is not, but will be in the SEC. We'll get into all that and more with our guy SEC Mike next on Blaine and Mickey. Happy Friday.
SEC!
Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone. Thanks for hanging out with us on this beautiful Friday. There is no one like you.
Oh.
And we appreciate you hanging out with us. There's no one like SEC Mike, and we appreciate any time he checks in with us. And he joins us now on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. What's going on, SEC Mike? How are...
Yeah, we want to ask you real quick.
Uh-oh.
Mickey, yeah, we want to ask him. Want him to call his shot. Since we're doing that on the next segment, we want him to be the first one to call his shot.
Oh, I bet he'll call a shot on this.
He gets to take Lucas's spot here with his lovely locks.
Yeah.
He gets to go last.
So we call shots every Friday in the final segment, which is coming up after this. Have you got one? Maybe a College World Series related shot you want to call, Mike?
Or anything, yeah.
Ooh, well, I remember the last time I was on with you gentlemen, you guys were hyping up the Vols, and I said, well...
Yep, you scared me, so I started saying, I don't know what's going on.
And I said, whoa.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for my shots, at the moment, how about this? I think Arch Manning, everyone's getting hyped up. I know you guys want to talk about it. I don't even think he's going to play his freshman year at Texas.
What? I wouldn't be saying. Now, who is he battling? That was going to be my question. Mm-hmm. Who will he be battling with?
The guy they got right now, Quinn Ewers. I think, I'm not a huge Sark believer. We can go down that road if you want, but I think Quinn Ewers, is going to be pretty solid, and I just think Arch Manning, while he's got the talent to start immediately, I don't think him and his family are going to be pushing to demand a starting position.
Boy, SEC Mike just dropping lightning bolts out of the gate here.
Whoa. Now,
okay.
Now, you know where this goes then. If you're not pushing then guess what? You're going to have to wait your turn unless somebody gets injured. So that means it could be a 2 or 3 year wait. Don't know the kid's year that he is, but if he's the starter then, whatever his eligibility is left, he's still going to be there. What year is he?
Right. Well, the guy coming in is a redshirt freshman, so he could be there a little while. They're saying he's good enough. He could be in the NFL in about 2 years. So I'm only talking Arch sitting on the bench for about a season, but just look at the way they've done this recruiting.
Right.
I mean, this has just been the antithesis of how these guys do it now. There's been no tweets of there's been no graphics. I'm not looking for engagement here. I'm not looking for followers here. I'm coming to Athens. It's all been kept under the rug. They've not been doing any interviews, and I realize we live in a time in a place where you get this 5-star. You expect them to see the field immediately. I think that sets them up for failure. And given what Texas has showed on the field, I don't think there's going to be a rush to get Arch out there and potentially ruin him. I think they're going to give him time. And as long as this guy that they got now, Ewers, is good, if he's garbage, Arch will be on the field. But, I think it's going to be a little while before we see Arch on the field.
Smart move by the family once again, if that is the truth. There we're going with SEC Michael W. Bratton.
What do you kind of NIL money you think we're talking for Arch once he drops into Austin?
Oh, he got that art.
He will. He may not play, but he will lead the league in NIL money, I would imagine.
Hush, hush, wink, wink.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think you got to be looking in the ballpark at $10 million.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's breaking news right there, man. Good job there, Mickey.
$10 million.
He's the richest NIL player, I think, in history, and maybe even. Who knows where this thing's going, but yeah, there's not a more marketable name than a Manning out there.
Boy, can you?
So
you won't see me on the field on Saturday, but you will see me at Burger King. I mean, can you imagine him not playing as a freshman and just being on every billboard in Austin? Arch Manning says, "Drive a Bill King Chevrolet."
And I think that sends a bad message for college sports right there. That is going to create a little bit of animosity all over the place.
We may see an Arch Manning nationally televised commercial before we see an Arch Manning touchdown. How wild is that?
Man.
Save that drop, Bert.
Yes, we're definitely going to use that SEC mic. Man, if that happens, I will be, man, you will be you're coming on every day.
SEC Mike,
because that could actually happen, man.
SEC Mike is bringing it. At Michael W. Bratton, you can get this info all the time on his Twitter. That SEC Pod is where you can listen to him and his cousin breaking down the SEC.
Well, we're talking about guys getting money. I'm gonna go back to the basics. I'm a fundamental guy. Explain to the listeners
Do you get a 4-year scholarship or do you get a 1-year scholarship renewable? Because I'm getting a little confused on where we're at in this situation now that you got the TP transfer portal and everything else. If you're coming out of high school and you get a scholarship, is it for 4 years or 1-year renewable?
The way I understand it, it's 1 year. Now, I believe they've amended it to where, it's 4 years for your academics, but if you're not on the team, you're not participating. I mean, with the portal and everything, no one's sticking around. So it really is year to year whether you're going to be on these rosters or not. And we're seeing that there's even a loophole now when a new coach comes in, he can essentially cut players. And we've seen that at Southern Cal. We're seeing it at Florida under Billy Napier.
Yeah.
So, it's year to year.
So when you say they can cut players, is it basically pure off of performance, or can there be any way you can just not recruit them at all? And when you got there and you say, well, I don't think he fits in our scheme, there's no excuse needed, huh?
Yeah, I think it's whatever excuse you want to make up. You know what I mean? It could be academics, could be performance-based. It could be you just need the scholarships, which is, I don't know the specifics down there in Gainesville, but I know they were 5 or 6 over the 85 scholarship limit. So they had to cut 4 guys this week.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Florida because we had a gentleman on, Graham Hall, I think was his name, and he was talking about Napier and the NIL for incoming recruits and freshmen, like they weren't given a lot of dough or pushing the NIL for incoming recruits, more so for guys on the team. Do you think that's hurting him in recruiting there at Florida?
I think it's killing them because you're seeing it across the board. I mean, every elite prospect they're going after, they come to campus, they get interested, and then what happens? They either don't make the finalists or they just commit to another school. And I think a large portion of that, if you're going to swim in these deep waters of SEC recruiting and you are doing it with one arm tied behind your back, I mean, I realize the NIL is very clear. You cannot use this as an inducement, but there's ways around that, and people are going to do it. And that's why Saban's mad. That's why Kirby's mad, because they've been inducing these prospects for years. But now that everybody can do it, it kind of levels the playing field, and we're seeing teams like Louisville at the top of the recruiting rankings for a reason.
No doubt about it. We're on with SEC Mike at Michael W. Bratton.
Who can challenge Georgia in the East? It seems like, everybody's starting to put out their previews and everything, and I'm halfway through your podcast with Steven from Athlon. You guys are breaking down the East and the West on that SEC podcast. I'll tell people to make sure and check that out. Who can challenge Georgia in the East? Because it seems like there's some really big expectations with Kentucky this year with a lot of people.
Right. Well, now, it depends on what you're asking me, Mickey. I mean, can you compete with Georgia for a full SEC schedule? I don't know that there is a team in the East that can do it, to be honest with you. But, I don't think Georgia is necessarily just going to run through the schedule like a lot of people do. I mean, I'm crazy enough. I went on Paul Feinbaum and predicted South Carolina was going to upset them early in the season. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Georgia just put 15 guys in the NFL, and I think there's going to be some growing pains there. I think South Carolina is going to be a lot better. Heck, I think basically the entire SEC East is going to be significantly better than they were last year. So I think there's a real chance early in the season Georgia trips up, but just across the board, they've got more talent, more depth, even though it's going to be a lot of fresh faces there in Athens. I think by the end of the season, they're probably going to run away with the East yet again.
I was going to ask, it's funny you mentioned that about South Carolina. I had written this down. Who do you think has a better overall year, Missouri or South Carolina?
Oh, far and away, I think it's South Carolina. I think that's one of my sleepers in the entire conference. I'm leaning. You guys like bold takes. How about this bold take? I think mentioning Kentucky, those fans think I hate them already because I'm a Tennessee grad, but I think South Carolina is going to have a better year than Kentucky.
What about South Carolina and Tennessee?
I would lean towards Tennessee there, but again, I mean, with the depth and the defensive issues in Knoxville, I don't have a lot of faith in these predictions. I mean, I think Tennessee with Hendon Hooker and Josh Heupel, they may have the best offense in the conference, but unfortunately, one side of the ball is not going to carry you in a league this talented, in a league this deep. They may have to outscore everybody. I just don't think they're going to be able to outscore 10, 11 opponents this year. I think 9 to 10 wins is realistic though for Tennessee.
Do you think Hendon Hooker is still kind of underrated by some?
Yeah, no doubt, because and we got to remember this time last year, for some reason they had Milton in there.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, Josh Heupel knows a lot more than me. I'm not questioning him, but I went back and watched all of Joe Milton. I watched all of Hendon Hooker, and for the life of me, I could not grasp why anyone would put Joe Milton on the field. I think Hendon Hooker's still got a lot to prove. Year 2 of this system for everybody, but he really. One interesting stat, I don't know if you guys have had Adam Sparks on the show, but 186 rushes for Hendon Hooker last year. He didn't slide one time. So, that's just one point of emphasis, but there's a lot that he needs to improve in his game to certainly go up those NFL draft boards, which is, I assume, why he came back.
At SEC Mike, you know him. He is at Michael W. Bratton on Twitter, that SEC Pod. You can catch his work there. Lots of good SEC preview stuff now.
Well, Mike, you gave us some teams that you like. Are those the same teams that you think are going to rise? Because it seems like the SEC is going to be more competitive than it's ever been from top to bottom. Sounds like, hearing you talk, is it a little different than that, you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying behind Alabama and Georgia all the way down to, the 12th best team in the conference. I mean, they're almost interchangeable this year, which is going to make for a very, very fun season. I mean, you could talk me into mixing and matching all these teams, but, we talked briefly about the NIL woes there at Florida. Don't overlook the Gators because, we all, as Tennessee people, we all pencil that in for some reason with the Gators coming up to Knoxville as a win. I feel like we've done this every other year for 20 years here. So, I still think I'd probably pick Florida to beat Tennessee, and they host Kentucky. So I think there's a realistic shot that they can beat Kentucky. They did lose to South Carolina last year. They get them at home. I think they'll beat South Carolina. I think Florida is just criminally underrated at this point in time.
Well, they're always going to have talent basically because they're in Florida. But back to the Manning issue, one thing I'm thinking here, can recruiting continue even though he's committed? And I say that because Sark was there at Alabama when they started recruiting him, and then he left and then became head coach. Is a possibility that Alabama and Georgia and whoever else, maybe even Tennessee, I don't know who else was in the hunt, but that things could change?
No, I don't. I think the only thing that changes, and it would take a very, very rough year for this to happen, but if Sarkisian gets fired at Texas, which I don't think is totally off the table. I mean, if they go out and win 4 games next year, I don't know how you bring that guy back after a 5-7 debut.
Well, if you lose to Kansas again now, that it's up to debate now. But I got to tell you right now, the people in Texas not playing.
So anything aside from Sarkisian getting fired, no, I don't think there's any chance Arch Manning. I think his recruitment's completely over with.
Well, now we saw, I know you're more football, but man, do you think in basketball, Chandler going 38th to Memphis, I'm bringing it to you because it's still college, this type of salary he's going to get, he may have made more than that if he would have stayed in college. Do you think guys are going to start looking at that and making decisions that possibly if it's a coin toss, if they're going to get drafted or where they want to be getting drafted, that they stay in with NIL deals? Because I'm sure he could have got more than $2.5 million as an NIL deal.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's a fascinating question. I mean, that's one of the biggest questions I think in sports. And I think another perfect example for Tennessee fans swinging it back to football was Cade Mays. And there was, speculation that he wanted top dollar, and he was eager to come back to Tennessee. I think he went in the 5th or 6th round to the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I don't know how much money you get for that, but I can't imagine it's much. So, this is something that a lot of these prospects that are not locks to go high in the draft are going to have to consider, and I think it's going to really help. It's not going to help Alabama and Georgia and all these teams that put players into the draft. I think it's going to help your Arkansas, your Ole Miss, your Mississippi State that have star players that may not necessarily be looking at a 1st or 2nd round grade.
Well, we're on with SEC Mike at Michael W. Bratton. One more for me, and that is the celebration of Title IX. I guess what's the first thing that come to mind, with opportunities and everything else that opened doors for women and pretty much everything in sports?
Well, hey, we may be far removed from this era, but when you want to talk, Title IX and women's sports, this is the Tennessee homer in me, but I just go immediately to Pat Summitt and just that dynasty she had there on Rocky Top. She's got her stadium outside. Of course, Thompson Bowling Arena's well-deserved. In my opinion, the best women's coach of all time. That's immediately where my mind goes, and just the Title IX allowing a run like that. That again, to me, that this we're many years removed from that, but that still is still in my memory.
No doubt about it. We're on with SEC Mike at Michael W. Bratton.
So let's break down this College World Series final. Ole Miss under 500 in the SEC this year. And, I got a lot of friends down there and a couple of guys who cover the team, and they were so disappointed in baseball. Well, they always say get hot at the right time. What, Mike, they were the last team, I guess, that got into the tournament, and they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, I think last time you asked me about a baseball question, I was talking about mustaches. So this time, all I got for you is I know Mississippi State won the thing last year. I think it'd be great poetry if Ole Miss turns around. Like you said, last team in. They really love the baseball down there in the state of Mississippi. They're getting on that coach I know for not making enough trips to the College World Series, Mike Bianco. He's been down there forever. They've had one of the best programs in recent SEC history. So I just think it'd be sweet if we got back-to-back national championships out of the SEC, out of the state of Mississippi, and just add a little more fuel to this fire down there.
Well, neither one of those teams were seeded coming in. Two unseeded teams made it to the final.
I mean, it's incredible. At some point, maybe I don't want to complain about SEC football. It pays the bills at my house, but it kind of makes you yearn for maybe something like that to happen in college football, where just with all this talent amassed in Tuscaloosa and Athens, it doesn't seem very realistic. But it kind of reminds me of the college football that I grew up with a run like Michael Vick making it to the national championship game.
All right, I'll ask you this on the way out again, Michael W. Bratton, our guest, SEC Mike. I know we had you on before Tennessee, before either the regional or the super regional, and you, like you said, you were telling us hey, I don't know, let's don't count our chickens before they hatch. So we saw what ultimately happened. They didn't make it to Omaha. For this team and for all the games they won and for everything else they accomplished, if this team had just gotten to Omaha, could you say, okay, they made it to the College World Series, that's a success? Because for a couple of days after their loss, we tried to debate, okay, obviously win the whole thing and that's a success. What short of that would have been able to consider it a success? Was it make it to Omaha? You think that would have done it?
That's the bottom.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I kind of get in these arguments the same with Tennessee basketball with Rick Barnes. They don't advance in the tournament. We got to run this guy off, but hey, I'm old enough to remember when Tennessee basketball was, arguably the weakest in the SEC. Same with SEC baseball. I mean, they're getting talked about nationally. All these other fan bases hate them to death. They celebrate their losses, but you would have liked to seen at least a College World Series run after being number one all year. I get it, but I think you got to think about where that program was when Tony Vitello took over. I mean, they were a joke in the conference. Now, again, regular season, you can't hang a banner over that, but being best in the country for the vast majority of the season, I still think you got to consider this season a success and just keep building on it, and eventually they'll win that national championship if they keep playing like they did all regular season.
Mike, thanks for the time today. Again, you got a lot of good stuff. That SEC podcast, people can go check that out and follow you at Michael W. Bratton. Thanks, man. Have a great weekend.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take it easy, guys.
Yes, sir. SEC Mike. Okay, when we come back, we will call our shot. And Aaron Wilson, the NFL reporter, longtime Texans reporter, has some Deshaun Watson news, like news. Let's get to that news. And we'll call our shot. Ruh-roh next. This baseball season, you can turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. So right now, new customers, they can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Yep, just sign up. Use the promo code Mickey, M-I-C-K-E-Y. Place your first bet. FanDuel is going to give you up to $1,000 back in free bets if you don't win. I'm telling you, get all over the Cardinals today. They are going to jump all over Hendricks and the Cubs. Hendricks has been getting shelled. They're going to keep it up. You just watch. But maybe you don't like that bet. Find one that you want to make. You'll love. Betting on FanDuel Sportsbook, they always have great promotions. It's safe and secure. And when you win, they pay you fast. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than on America's #1 sportsbook. Again, download that FanDuel Sportsbook app. Sign up using the promo code Mickey. Get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. You do have to be 21 or older. Got to be present in Tennessee. First online real money wager. Only refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you got a gambling problem, call the Tennessee Redlining 1-800-889-9789. little Rick James for you. That'll get your weekend started. Rick James was a one-man weekend. I promise you that.
Ooh, that make me want my feet start moving.
Give it to me, baby.
Fast, boy. I can move my feet fast when I'm sitting down.
I can see you're hammer dancing under the table over here.
I hit my knee on my.
When I came home last night,
Ooh, man.
you wouldn't make love to me.
Whoa!
There's the mixer that we know.
Some Rick James now. I know what this is about. I mean, I have no idea what his life was about because my life is the complete opposite of that.
You lived that life.
Oh, yeah. When I listen to these records. Call your shot. My shot is that I'm nothing like Rick James. Brought to you by Chattanooga Whiskey 91, an award-winning small batch bourbon available at your local
Give it to me, baby.
retail store. We will call our shot. We got a couple of phone calls. Let's take these phone calls. They can call a shot. We'll take the calls. Then we'll call our shot before we go. Paul in Nashville will join us in this final segment of the show. Mark Spain, Real Estate Hotline. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, man.
And you're right.
Great.
Rick James will set one's foot a tackle.
Oh, gosh, yes. Yes, sir.
No doubt.
But what I called in for was on these NIL packages, is everybody taking into consideration where the IRS going to come in on these families?
Yeah. Paul, we've been talking about that. Like, they better be telling these guys, like, here's the accountant's phone number. Have the accountant come in and talk to them.
Who is going to be telling them that? Who's going to be telling the players that?
Whatever you got that works with players. If you've got player development, which big schools do. If not, it's the compliance person. Like at Arkansas State and Ball State, it's the compliance officer.
Right. So
that's who has to do it all.
Is that in their bio?
And no, but they're having to do it.
Okay.
That's what I'm just telling you. Somebody's got to.
No, I get it because I'd be hollering that, okay, I got another role, so that means another set of pay that I should be receiving.
And here's the thing. That part's not happening.
No, you know it's not.
Nope. I asked somebody at Arkansas State who's handling NIL. They said compliance. And if you're listening, you think, okay, what's compliance? That's the people who make sure, like, they don't. Well, that used to be the people who made sure they didn't get illegal pay or illegal benefits or anything like that, and making sure they're staying academically.
That's why they've hired more people in this arena.
Yeah. So it's compliance. They're doing it all. And
got to pay taxes, man. That's when God gonna see that tax bill. You're like, who?
Wait, what? I spent all that.
Who is Uncle Sam? I have never met him.
Nope. But he wants
some people gonna be like,
money.
I'm not paying. Just
and
imagine some 18, 19-year-old guy like, what? I'm not paying no taxes.
And you're an independent
19.
contractor too. And as a former real estate agent, where you're an independent contractor, I can tell you get hit even harder.
Oh, watch this. You sign let's say $1 million NIL deal, right, for the first year, and then you get your check, and it's more like $600. You're gonna be like, where's my other $400? Oh, that guy that they call Uncle Sam, he got it.
I don't even think that.
He said, what? You sure somebody didn't take this money?
I don't think they'll be.
That's what happens.
No,
it's that just like that. $1 million becomes $600.
But I think they'll get the $1 million. And it's like, you got to pay your own taxes.
Well, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Ooh.
No, that's why I asked who was doing it. That is not going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
That money is gone before it's even in the pocket. Yeah. Oh, zap. They better make sure they pay before they get it.
Yep. Let's zap this last phone call. Bob in West End. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Mickey, you were talking college baseball. I think I heard that the number one seed in the college baseball tournament has not won the World Series since 1999.
Yeah.
And it's because they're only 2 losses will knock you out in any area of any phase of the tournament. I would be for at least making the super regional 3 out of 5, because the more playoff games you play, it favors the better teams, and the fewer playoff games favors upsets and underdogs. So at least make that super regional 3 out of 5 instead of getting put out by losing 2 games. It's baseball. It's a game of percentages. I mean, you're not going to go out and dominate in baseball like you do in football. You need more playoff games.
Great point. Yeah.
Boy, test your pitching staff, though.
Wait, get right. Did you go run out of pitching?
Yeah. That's Ole Miss had to throw their ace to get to where they are. So that's
why people were saying that they're not going to get it done.
Which brings us to call our shot.
Oh, my.
That brings us right here. Lonzo says, no, win or go home. See, it doesn't bother me, the setup to this thing. It's hard to win it.
I told you
it's
baseball
hard
is a
to win
funny
it.
deal. I had
Yep.
this funny feeling. I said if they make it to Omaha, I think that was a success, and that's the bottom. But man, that's tougher than people think. It just you get momentum, and all of a sudden they went through a little dead period when they got to the Super Regionals. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
All season they were on fire.
They didn't lose
That's
double-digit
hard to
games.
do what they did right there.
Yep.
Lucas, I mean, just to do that, man. Oh man, I was afraid that was going to happen, and it did.
All right, gentlemen, time to call our shot. Darius in the Zone TV chat says, I'm calling my shot. The Braves are going to win the series against the Dodgers this weekend.
Ooh,
Homecoming.
I saw that.
Freddie Freeman.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that'll be tough.
I saw when they first played each other, he hit a home run.
First at
in
bat.
LA. I
His first at
was
bat.
watching. It was great. I was like,
What?
take that.
A lot of little
shot.
kids got a lesson in big sports business. That was their guy. Oh, sorry, I'm a free agent. I'm going to Los Angeles. We're going to go join the evil empire. Sorry, Jim Wyatt. They're not. But like one of these teams with all the money in the world, them and the Yankees. Lucas Panzica, what's your shot? What you got?
My shot is that Archie Manning, the rest of Archie Manning's Arch, man. I keep doing that. I keep calling him Archie, like his grandpa.
He's Archibald, yeah.
The rest of Arch Manning's recruitment and college football career will be much like what we've seen from his recruitment. No fanfare, no flash. He's not moving his commitment. He's not wavering, and he's not transferring. That's my shot. Arch Manning's going to Texas, and he's finishing his college football career at Texas.
Hook 'em horn, says Lucas Panzica. Bert, you look like you're brewing in there. You got a shot?
Oh, I've been brewing since last night, man.
I
and I'll
see you.
try to hold back my aggression.
Oh, Lord. Wow.
This is long-term booking right here on my part, but
Okay.
I think the Hornets are not going to be able to retain LaMelo Ball after what I saw in the NBA draft last night. The Hornets and Michael Jordan in general are terrible ownership, and they showed that last night. They had a chance to draft one of the better centers out of Memphis last night at 13. Instead, they trade the rights to him to the Knicks, who do a bunch of trading around. I'm not here to follow that. They draft Mark Williams, the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, at 15. And the only reason that they didn't take the guy at 13 is because they didn't want to pay $3 million more for him. They still don't have a coach. They still have Gordon Hayward's massive contract. They were not unable to unload that last night. So Michael Jordan is not going to be able to retain LaMelo Ball because he's a terrible owner. I think he takes bets against the team to make more money. That's what I think. But
And he took that personally, Bert.
He should take that personally.
Ooh, to your point, maybe that's why he didn't draft that guy, because that $3 million he lost in his gambling
He
bets.
knows he's got to put it back up.
Yeah.
He's got a bookie fee
I
somewhere.
wouldn't be shocked.
Our own North Carolina Bird, who's upset about how the Hornets are being handled. All right, B-Bizzle, we're running out of time. What you got?
Deshaun Watson. There's rumors out there he'll get more than a year. I'm saying he gets less than a year.
That was the thing from Aaron Wilson that we teased, that he is. It's the expectation is he could not only get the whole year, that he could get suspended indefinitely. That's from Aaron Wilson.
Because that means they're afraid that these last 4 and maybe some more may come out.
But indefinitely, you don't have to put a number on indefinitely. You can say indefinitely, and then 8 weeks go by and say, okay, you're back.
How do you even appeal that? No, we'll take somewhat definitely.
Well, now let's play negotiations when you have power. And that's what you say to get them to the number you want to get. I
Right.
dare you to say you can't suspend me for more than a year.
Okay, we'll take the year then.
Exactly.
power.
There you go.
Ole Miss is going to have power. They're going to find. They're the favorites. They're going to find a way to win this, and the College World Series trophy will stay in Mississippi, just up the road a little bit.
And the Avs is going to knock it out tonight.
There you go.
It's over.
We're just shot calling and big balling. Now we got to go.
In the meantime,
In between time.
peace. Lucas Steele's hair is on fire.